Hi everyone, guys. With RBI Grade B Phase 2 over now, many of you might be very sure कि यार इंटरव्यू कॉल आने वाला है या फिर you might be feeling yourself on the brink कि शायद इधर गाड़ी चली जाए या शायद इधर चली जाए. But in both these cases, I would strongly suggest that you please start preparing for interview. और इसको सिर्फ ये नहीं कि तैयारी करनी है, let's prepare in such a way that we plan to dominate this. ठीक है, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है इसको डोमिनेट करना. एंड आई टेल यू द रीजंस फॉर दैट. हम एज्यूम करते हैं कि सपोज फाइनल कट ऑफ 220 जाएगी. लेट्स एज्यूम दिस इज अ वेरी हाइपोथेटिकल नंबर. नाउ इफ यू आर इन अ ब्रैकेट दैट यू आर गेटिंग 160, you might get an interview call at 160 also, but then in the interview you need to get 60 plus marks. So I need not rephrase it now how important it would be for you to prepare for the interview. और आपके लिए golden chance है, आप phase 2 में बुरा कर भी you can have the name in the final selection list. In other scenarios that you have performed very well in phase 2 and say you get 190, now you just need 30 marks to get into the final merit list. But we have seen scenarios in RBI where people get numbers in the interview between 15, 25, and even sometimes I've seen people getting 10 marks out of 70. I know one of our student who got 26.5 last year. He was not selected. If he would have got 35, he would have got selected. ठीक है, तो वो इस कैटेगरी में था. फेज 2 में बहुत अच्छे मार्क्स थे, बट इंटरव्यू में पूरी टाइम फिश एंड ही वाज नॉट एबल टू क्लियर. सो आई नीड नॉट रीफ्रेज इट. Please do not just prepare for it, rather plan to dominate it by preparing for it in a proper manner. And please clear your myths on these 2 points. We think that interview is mainly about a personality. I would not disagree with that. It's a test of your personality, but not the only thing. हमें लगता है कि अगर हम अच्छे से बोलेंगे, अच्छे से ड्रेस करके जाएंगे, and we are very good in English, we are convent educated, then they would give us really good marks. But I feel that the important parameter, which is even scoring higher than the personality, would be honesty. नो डाउट ये अच्छा होगा तो एडवांटेज है, बट द पॉइंट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक इज कि अगर आपकी पर्सनैलिटी अच्छी भी है ना, बहुत अच्छा बोलते हो, बहुत अच्छे से ड्रेस होके आए हो, आप ह्यूमर क्रिएट कर रहे हो, but at the end of the day they find you that you are not honest with your answers, they will not hire you. I'm sure about this. Similarly, if I talk about knowledge, we think that knowledge is supreme. If I answer all the questions, I would be selected. First of all, let's understand in reality you will never be able to answer all the questions, because questions would be so dynamic that you will never be able to prepare for all of them. So knowledge important है, but again I'm trying to make is के knowledge जितनी भी ले लो पूरे question answer नहीं कर पाओगे. Rather what would become more important is your attitude, how open you are to learning new things. How do you accept your mistakes? If you're not able to answer any of the question, can you just tell them that, sir, I seem to have missed this point, but I'll surely go back and learn about this after the interview. That will show that you want to learn, you're open to learning, you're accepting your mistake. तो ये दो क्वालिटीज के बारे में डीपली सोचना, समझना एंड ट्राई टू एग्जिबिट देम. यू नीड टू इनकलकेट देम एक्चुअली. ठीक है, आसानी से नहीं आएंगी, बट ओवर नेक्स्ट 30, 40, 50 days, whatever you have, try to inculcate them. Now, what are the important pillars of your preparation? I'll just take you through a transcript which happened in the actual interview. ऐसी बहुत सारी transcripts हैं, but the points that will come out of it is the same. So the first question that was asked to the candidate is, and this is a transcript of a selected candidate, that what function of RBI separates it from central bank. So mainly this is pillar 1, that is they will ask you questions about RBI. I will discuss in detail about all these pillars. They will discuss about first pillar, that is about RBI. Then questions like this, what is RegTech? This is actually based on current affairs. That time RegTech was in news. So pillar number 2 is your CA, that is current affairs. Then even this is based on current affairs. Five Eyes Alliance, this was related to India's problem with Canada. Then what is senior age? Now this is actually, I would say, knowledge of finance and economics. This is pillar number 3. These kind of questions would be asked. They can ask you about repo rate, reverse repo rate, risk management, Basel laws and all that. Then favorite subject during your MBA, prof name and all that. So this all I would put in DAF में जो भी आपका वर्क एक्सपीरियंस है, आपका एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड है, detailed application from that they will ask you questions. ठीक है, then HR questions. ठीक है, gap years is a kind of insecurity. ठीक है, deviations in your resume from something normal. So they will ask you questions on your insecurities, your low marks, your gap years. तो ये भी एक pillar है, you need to prepare. And other HR questions जो मुझे लगता है they can ask you your strengths and weaknesses, your vision for the next 5 years and all that. So these are some of the pillars which I feel they would ask you, जो हमने इन क्वेश्चन से निकाले हैं. And most of these transcripts if you read you will find only these kind of questions. So ये मैंने summarize कर दिए हैं. Now we will try to discuss all these pillars one by one. Let's start with the DAF. Detailed application form is the first pillar. ठीक है, जो मैं यहाँ पे ले रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे नंबरिंग अलग की है मैंने based on the questions as they were coming in the transcript. Now same pillars को मैंने यहाँ पे अलग नंबरिंग दे दी है. So if I come to DAF is detailed application form. That is the application form you fill before you appear in the interview. ठीक है, ऐसा एक application form मिलता है जो आपको fill करना होता है. Now many of the students fill it very casually. They fill it on the last day or they do not spend enough time on filling it. I would say show some respect to DAF. This is your first impression on them. This is your first introduction to them. कि आप हो कौन, आपका क्या background है, आपके क्या interest हैं, hobbies हैं. So it is very important that you fill your DAF carefully. So show some respect. Avoid some common mistakes in DAF. I'll show you one or two examples. और ऐसी बहुत सारी mistakes होती हैं. Post you have applied for officers in RBI Grade B Journal. भाई सिर्फ ये लिखो ना, Grade B Journal. Officers क्यों लिख रहे हो ये? ठीक है, then here it is written please mention your qualification, matriculation, examination onwards means 10th onwards, but this person is writing 12th onwards. Then there are some people who will write it in the reverse order. They will start their graduation first, then they will write about 12th, and then they will write about their 10th. No, you go in a particular ascending order. 10th, 12th, your graduation, your post graduation, like this. This is something which is very commonly accepted कि आपको ऐसे ही लिखना है, तो आप उसको क्यों divert कर रहे हो? Then 100 plus questions on your DAF. So as I told you, DAF has many areas. They can ask you question from any area. They can ask you question from your work experience. They can ask you question from your educational background. They can ask question related to the profession of your father. They can even ask you question on the city of your birthplace. So you have to prepare well. Every word, every line that you would have written there, try to frame 5-10 questions out of that. In total, I would say 100 or maybe 200 questions you should be framing out of your DAF which are expected in the interview. उसकी preparation करके जाओ. उसके बाद भी I would say 50% of the questions would be unexpected, but at least 50% you would have prepared well. ठीक है, तो ये पहला pillar है. Now coming to the second pillar about RBI, this is very important. I expect them कि आप यार इतना तो मतलब आंसर कर ही दोगे अगर वो आपसे पूछेंगे. So about the history of RBI, purpose, values, vision of RBI, departments in RBI, functions of RBI, all this needs to be read, and you can read all these from the RBI website. On the RBI website there is a tab about RBI. ठीक है, अबाउट आरबीआई में क्लिक करेंगे, ये सारी चीजें आपको वहां पे बहुत आराम से मिल जाएंगी. और इसको अच्छे से पढ़ना. फंक्शंस ऑफ आरबीआई यू वुड बी ऑलरेडी नोइंग इट सिंस यू हैव अपीयर्ड फॉर फेज 2, बट स्टिल गो थ्रू इट वंस अगेन. यहाँ पे बहुत डिटेल में दिया गया है. इट विल एड वैल्यू टू योर नॉलेज. देन करंट अफेयर्स इज द थर्ड पिलर. सो जो भी करंट इश्यूज हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई वॉज गोइंग थ्रू अ स्पीच ऑफ गवर्नर ऑफ आरबीआई some days back, and in the speech itself he has mentioned few of the problems that are there in the Indian economy: lack of deposits, inflation, inclusive growth, cyber security and IT related risk. ठीक है, कंपनीज के डेटा हैक हो रहे हैं, डिजिटल फ्रॉड्स, कॉमन मैन के पैसे निकाले जा रहे हैं बैंक्स में से, risk posed by climate change to the financial system. So like these there would be n other current issues that would be there in our economy. And this all you will be able to find most of them in the RBI speeches itself. अगर आप RBI speeches पढ़ेंगे यहाँ पे सारे इश्यूज एक एक करके कहीं ना कहीं किसी स्पीच में डिस्कस हैं. सो दिस बिकम्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड कीप रीडिंग एडिटोरियल्स or RBI notifications, that is the recent regulations that have been framed by RBI also becomes very important, which is again available on the RBI website. तो ये दो चीजें आपको RBI वेबसाइट पे मिलेंगी. Editorials, you please keep reading newspaper. I would suggest you to read Business Standard or Live Mint for your interview preparation. And please remember, when you are reading current affairs, try to focus on the perspective or opinion that you are trying to make out of what you are reading and not on the facts. Facts would not that be important, though facts would be important only to that extent that you understand the problem कि कम है या ज्यादा है या moderate है. But exact number 25% है या 30% है, that would not make much sense to remember, because I feel that they would not be asking you exact numbers, and even if they ask you, say I don't know, I don't remember the exact number, that's completely okay. The fourth pillar is knowledge of economy and finance. That is what you have already read in your phase 2. तो इसमें बहुत कॉमन चीजें हैं. मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, फिस्कल पॉलिसी, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट, फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन, बॉन्ड्स, बॉन्ड यील्ड्स पे आजकल बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. तो ये सारे टॉपिक्स हैं, ये आपको अच्छे से आने चाहिए. These are very basics. Apart from that, basic terms that are there in economy and finance, repo rate, reverse repo rate, Basel laws, वो तो आप एक ग्लॉसरी भी पढ़ जाएंगे ना, उससे आपको बेसिक बेसिक टर्म सारी पता लग जाएंगी. एंड आई एम श्योर के इफ यू हैव अपियरिंग फॉर द इंटरव्यू, 40% ऑफ द टर्म्स आर ऑलरेडी नॉन टू यू. डेरिवेटिव्स क्या होते हैं, बॉन्ड्स क्या होते हैं, कि बेसिक टर्म्स और इन एरियाज में थोड़ी सी इन डेप्थ नॉलेज आप जरूर लेके जाना, बिकॉज दिस नॉलेज विल हेल्प यू इन डिस्कशन इवन हेयर when they would be discussing your perspective in current affairs. This knowledge of inflation, monetary policy, fiscal policy, risk management would be useful there also. And mannerism, which is very very important. This is kind of a hidden pillar. ये हमें क्वेश्चन से पता नहीं लगता है. अगर हम ट्रांसक्रिप्ट पढ़ेंगे, क्वेश्चन से हमें कभी भी मैनरिज्म के बारे में नहीं पता लगेगा. But these kind of things are observed. There would be special people in the interview who would be just observing your mannerism, that how you are sitting, how you are making an eye contact, what is your body language. तो इस तरह के कुछ एलिमेंट्स हैं which I want you to be very careful about. For example, dressing. Do not overdress or underdress. काफी लोग बहुत heavily dress होके जाते हैं. Many of the women candidates might fall into that trap, but just dress yourself as per the occasion. ना ज्यादा ना कम. चूड़ियां वुड़ियां ज्यादा मत पहनिए, बड़े बड़े कांटे मत पहनिए. एंड बॉयज डो नॉट टेक दैट रिस्क के बिना कोट पहन के जाना है. somehow manage it yaar. If you, even if you're not able to buy it, somehow manage it through some of your friends. But please dress professionally. You're meeting people who have achieved so much in life. At least dress for that. Then it's very important that you enter in a very gentle manner. Some people just rush through, open the door and get inside. Enter in a very gentle manner, ask their permission, and similarly when you exit very peacefully and do not look behind. While you are exiting the room, do not look behind at the interview panel. That looks very odd. Make a proper eye contact with the interview panel during the interview. I believe that it should be 360-degree eye contact, meaning whosoever is there in front of you, you should be addressing everyone, though you can spend 30-40% of the time answering to the person who has asked the question. But then you shall be making an eye contact with everyone, because everybody is interested in your answer. Sitting posture has to be positive. It should not be kind of a laid back which shows that you're not interested. It should be, you should be sitting straight with hand on your knees, and it should exude confidence. Hand movements. If we do not do any hand movement, again, it shows that we are not interested. And do not overdo it. Right? So it has to be done, but with caution, and now with a limited movement of your hands. Should not be like this and that. With a limited movement of hands. And you have every right to disagree with the interviewer. Sometimes they might put you in trap कि टेस्ट करते हैं कि मेरी बात को गलत कहता भी है या नहीं, and they might tell you something wrong. So if you're very sure about what is being discussed and you want to disagree with the interview, do that, but again do that politely. That, sir, I respect your opinion, but as far as my knowledge is concerned as of today, I think this is this. but I'll surely go back and check whether I'm right or not. Okay, that shows that you have that assertiveness to argue, but at the same time you're humble if it is your mistake. Then how to say I do not know? Many of the instances in interview will be such that you do not know the answer to the question, but then just sitting dumb there and fidgeting with your hands, with your lips, and having no idea what is happening and being silent, that is not the right way. Even if you do not know the answer, be confident that, sir, I think I've missed it, but I'm sure that I'll go back and read about this. This seems to be an interesting topic. That shows your attitude that you're open to learning and you do not आपको बुरा नहीं लग रहा है कि आपको नहीं आता है, रेदर आप उसको एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हो और आप आगे मूव ऑन करना चाहते हो उसके बारे में सीख कर. Then many of you might have insecurities with respect to your gap years, your average colleges, your poor academic results. This is very common. But I would like to tell you that insecurities are only in your mind, not theirs. Even if they ask you that why do you have so many gap years, they are not challenging you that why do you have gap years. They are just curious to know that why these gap years have happened. If you have poor academic results, they are not challenging you that you are not fit for RBI. They just want to know that what is the real reason. So please do not get bogged by these questions if they ask you about your insecurities. If you have gap years, you can always tell that, sir, I was preparing for some exams. It was not turning out to be the right decision. But I'm a fighter. I fought back. I changed my exams. I changed my priorities and I worked hard for RBI Grade B. I mean, you have to look positive. Do not show that it was a wastage of time. Rather, it was an investment of time and you invested in something, though it didn't yield now whatever you were expecting, that आप select हो जाते, शायद वो positive result होता, but still you learned so many things out of that. That is what you're supposed to give that impression. Then poor academic results. ये भी बहुत कॉमन है भाई, बहुत लोगों के 60-62% होते हैं. बट अगेन, डोंट बी डिफेंसिव, जस्ट एक्सेप्ट that maybe you were not clear about your priorities at that time. You were more focused on extracurricular activities, but as you grew up, you learned that now this is a competitive world and you need to get settled, and then you started focusing on your studies and competitive exams. So poor academic results are things of the past, and now you're performing very well and you're a very good learner. So just be positive. अगर आप डिफेंसिव हो जाओगे, then it will give an impression that actually आप ऐसे ही हो, लेजी हो, सीरियस नहीं हो, या आपको अभी भी लर्निंग नहीं हुआ इन चीज़ों से. नो वर्क एक्सपीरियंस, इससे भी डरना नहीं है. इनफैक्ट यू कैन से दैट, सर यस आई हैव नो वर्क एक्सपीरियंस, बट देन मेरे पास वर्क एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, बट एक भूख है कि मैं सीखना चाहता हूँ, काम करना चाहता हूँ. एंड सिंस आई डू नॉट हैव एनी वर्क एक्सपीरियंस, आई कैन बी मोल्डेड इजिली इनटू द वर्क कल्चर ऑफ आरबीआई, व्हिच मेनी अदर एस्पिरेंट्स माइट नॉट बी एबल टू. अगर किसी ने 5 साल में E&Y में काम किया है, उसको आरबीआई में आकर दिक्कत आएगी वर्क कल्चर में अडेप्ट होने पे? मुझे नहीं आएगी. सो ट्राई टू कन्विंस देम. जो भी आपका थॉट है, ये थॉट आपको बनाना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज व्हाट योर थॉट इज शुड बी कन्विंसिंग टू यू. आई कैन नॉट टेल यू रेडीमेड आंसर्स. बट डिफेंसिव नहीं होना है. जो भी सच है वो बोलो और कॉन्फिडेंस से बोलो कि हाँ, अगर गलती हुई है तो हुई है. अगर आप झूठ बोलोगे, दे विल कैच यू. आई एम टेलिंग यू, इफ योर एज इज 27-20 ईयर्स, उससे ज्यादा तो उनको एक्सपीरियंस है. दे माइट बी वर्किंग इन आरबीआई और एनी सच ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फॉर द लास्ट 30 ईयर्स. तो उनको पता है कि कौन कितना सच्चा, कौन कितना झूठ बोल रहा है. सो डू नॉट फॉल इन टू दैट ट्रैप कि आप निकल जाओगे झूठ बोलकर. वो नहीं होने वाला है. ट्राई टू बी ऑनेस्ट एटलीस्ट 99% ऑफ द टाइम्स. ठीक है. और ये हमारी गाइड बुक है. अगर आप आरबीआई ग्रेड बी में नए हैं, इस एग्जाम के बारे में ज्यादा नहीं जानते हैं, दिस इज अ गाइड बुक which you shall download. This gives you everything about RBI: promotions, hierarchies, department, salary, and 3 best things that you would get in this guidebook is कि आपको प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स मिल जाएंगे, आपको डिकोडेड सिलेबस मिल जाएगा इसमें अच्छे से, और आपको आरबीआई के बारे में पूरी इंफॉर्मेशन मिल जाएगी जो यू विल नॉट गेट in spite of going to 10 different websites and YouTube channels. And please download this today. This is free. You can download this by going to the description of this video. There is a link to download this video. उसको download कीजिए, आज ही पढ़िए. You can complete this within 2-3 days and you will get a lot of motivation after reading this and you will get a lot of clarity. ठीक है. And this is an interview guidance program which we guys have launched. So if you feel that आपको ये इंटरव्यू गाइडेंस प्रोग्राम ज्वाइन करना है, सो यू कैन एनरोल इनटू दिस, ठीक है। आई एम नॉट श्योर वेदर इट इज मेड पब्लिक और नॉट, बट एज सून एज द रिजल्ट कम्स वी विल मेक इट पब्लिक। अभी शायद ये पब्लिक नहीं है, दिस इज enrollments have not started, but this is something that we would be launching once the results are out. So please plan to enroll into this. This will give you a very good idea of all the elements that I have been talking about. उसमें हर एलिमेंट पे आपको डिटेल गाइडेंस मिलेगी, चाहे डैफ है, चाहे HR बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस हैं, करंट अफेयर्स हैं, एवरी एलिमेंट वुड बी डिटेल्ड देयर, जहाँ पे पूरी गाइडेंस दी जाएगी कि इन एलिमेंट्स को कैसे प्रिपेयर करना है। सर टेक योर लीव, थैंक यू, हैव अ नाइस डे, बाय बाय।